Iran has launched intensive naval exercises in the Strait of Hormuz, including live fire drills by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, while Russia, China and Iran are actively conducting the 8th edition of their joint Maritime Security Belt 2026 drills in the same waters. On Monday, the IRGC Navy began a 2-day series of exercises officially named Smart Control of the Strait of Hormuz. These drills cover the strait itself, the Persian Gulf, and parts of the Gulf of Oman. They include live missile firings, drone operations, fast attack boat maneuvers, and electronic warfare drills. The entire operation is being personally overseen by IRGC Commander-in-Chief Major General Mohammad Pakpour. Iranian state media described the goal as testing the force's ability to respond decisively to potential security and military threats. On Tuesday, Iran took the extra step of announcing a temporary partial closure of key transit routes in the strait for several hours. Officials said this was purely for safety and maritime concerns during the live fire phase. Shipping traffic experienced minor delays, but tankers were able to reroute or wait without any major incidents or long-term blockages. As of today, February 18th, the IRGC phase is winding down, but activity remains high. At the same time, the larger trilateral Maritime Security Belt 2026 is underway. Russia has sent the Baltic Fleet corvette Stoiki, which docked at Bandar Abbas. China has deployed destroyers and frigates into the area. Iran is contributing both regular Navy and IRGC vessels. The exercises focus on maritime coordination, counter-piracy, search and rescue, and anti-terrorism operations. Russian presidential aide Nikolai Patrushev publicly called the drills relevant for multipolar maritime security. A separate Iran-Russia bilateral drill is scheduled for tomorrow, February 19th, in the Gulf of Oman and northern Indian Ocean. Timing is everything. These drills opened on the exact eve of the latest round of indirect US-Iran nuclear negotiations in Geneva. Washington has a carrier strike group, including the USS Abraham Lincoln, operating nearby with round-the-clock flight operations. The Trump administration has repeatedly warned of possible military action if the talks fail. Iran is sending a clear, calculated message. We control this choke point, we are not intimidated, and we have powerful partners watching our back. The Strait of Hormuz is not just any waterway. Roughly 20% of the world's traded oil, about 21 million barrels every single day, passes through its narrowest point, which is only about 21 miles wide at its tightest. For Iran, demonstrating smart control here is both defensive doctrine and strategic signaling. The IRGC has spent years building asymmetric capabilities precisely for this scenario. Swarms of small boats, coastal anti-ship missiles, drones and mines. They practice closing or disrupting the strait because they know the mere threat can spike global oil prices and rattle markets. So far, professionally and without escalation. Shipping companies and maritime security firms report only short delays on Tuesday. Nothing like the chaos that would follow a real closure. No foreign vessels have been harassed. US forces in the region are monitoring closely, but have not publicly reacted beyond routine statements about freedom of navigation. The joint Russia-China-Iran phase is still in the deployment and coordination stage, with live exercises expected in the coming days. Communication between the three navies appears smooth, and all sides are emphasizing the defensive and cooperative nature of the drills. Short term, we are already seeing a small war premium on oil prices, though Brent crude has stayed in the low $69 range because the disruption was brief and well telegraphed. Insurance rates for tankers in the Gulf have ticked up slightly. Markets hate uncertainty, and these pictures of Iranian missile boats firing in the world's most important energy artery create exactly that. Medium term, the drills reinforce the Iran-Russia-China axis at sea. This is the 8th Maritime Security Belt since 2019, but doing it inside the Strait of Hormuz, right under the nose of US carriers, is a step up in boldness. It tells Washington that any military pressure on Iran will be met not just by Tehran, but by two other permanent members of the UN Security Council operating in the same waters. Longer term, the biggest risk is miscalculation. When you put advanced warships from four major powers into such a confined space, the chance of an accidental collision, radar misread, or provocative incident rises sharply. If talks in Geneva collapse and the US increases pressure, Iran has now shown it can shut down or threaten the strait with very little warning. That scenario would send oil above $100 a barrel within days and could drag China and Russia deeper into the confrontation. This is not Iran's first rodeo. They ran a similar live fire drill in early February and have threatened to close the strait many times since the 1980s. What's different now is the coordination with Russia and China at this precise moment of nuclear diplomacy. The IRGC is also using the drills to test new systems, updated anti-ship missiles, drone swarms, and what they call smart command and control, all designed to make any attempt to reopen the strait extremely costly for an adversary. From a pure power projection standpoint, the United States still has overwhelming naval superiority in the region, but the optics matter. Every tanker captain, every oil trader, and every European or Asian government watching energy supplies now sees Russian and Chinese flags sailing alongside Iranian ones in the world's most critical oil artery. That image is hard to unsee.